All right, guys, so we do have an official Bryce Young height update. He is 5'10 and a half, according to Todd McShay. He's not going to be participating at the combine, and Alabama listed him at 6'0, so they gave him an inch and a half, 194. NFL scouts have been telling Young that he needs to get his weight up at least over 200 pounds, but this really doesn't surprise me. Normally, the team is going to give you an inch, maybe an inch and a half, and he's listed at 5'10". Now, when it comes to his height, I don't know, man. I could go either way on this. I know, like, the modern thing with a lot of NFL fans is like, oh, who cares about his height? And, I mean, we did that with Baker Mayfield, but it really seems like it does affect quarterbacks to a degree. Like, the more I think about it, the more I feel safe with my take that CJ Stroud is the safest quarterback option in this draft. When you look at everything combined, the height, the accuracy, the arm strength, the mobility he showed against Georgia. Will Levis has a significant flaw in terms of his overall accuracy. Anthony Richardson has multiple problems, including being extremely raw. And Bryce Young has a major overall stature issue. So I think CJ Stroud is QB1, Bryce Young is QB2. You don't overreact to the height thing, but I feel like no one even reacts to it anymore. It's kind of like a meme at this point. Everyone just makes fun of you if you say, oh, Bryce Young is too short. But, I mean, being 5'10 is not ideal for an NFL quarterback. I mean, Baker Mayfield, Kyler Murray, I guess Kyler Murray's been good. He got a big contract. He's kind of a franchise quarterback. But I feel like his height significantly limited his ceiling. So, I guess we'll see what happens. He did not participate in the combine, or he's not going to participate in the combine, and he will be throwing at Alabama's Pro Day in mid-March. This is the XFL, and you don't want to laugh at the XFL or anything like that, but it's just so hard to see these leagues have any chance of success. I mean, they're playing on a high school field. It's so weird to see ESPN broadcast this. And, it's live on ESPN, but it's on a high school field. It's just like I compare the XFL or alternative things to the NFL. I compare it to minor league baseball. No one is watching minor league baseball, whether it's on during MLB season or whether it's in the off season. These players, 95% of them are not good enough to play in the NFL. They've tried the NFL and hasn't succeeded. And people aren't interested in watching them. And obviously, it's completely different from college because college, you've got all the players that are going to be first and second round picks and future stars and the teams and stuff like that. So I really don't think any of these leagues have much of a chance at success. But we will see. Look at this photo. My goodness. You know what? Tom Brady won with this divorce thing. Looking at this photo, the before and after, the GOAT always wins. Even though Tom Brady got divorced, lost 20 pounds during the season because he was anxious. I mean, if you're Tom Brady, you got to be looking at this and being like, I'm thankful. No, I'm just kidding. But we've got the Bears. It's looking more and more likely this coming out a few days ago. They will be trading the number one overall pick. Not surprising at all. We all expect it. Minimum, they're going to move back to 2, probably 4 or lower, depending on if Houston falls in love with the quarterback or Indianapolis. Maybe you've also got Carolina moving up from 9 or even Vegas from 7. But in all likelihood, Chicago will be trading back to number 2 or number 4, depending on which team it ends up being. Rank, how should these quarterbacks be paid from most to least? They have Daniel Jones on there. But if all these quarterbacks were free agents at the same time, I would say Burrow should make the most. I'd probably say at this point Jalen Hurts. Well, yeah, I mean, honestly, Jalen Hurts probably makes the second most. Herbert probably makes the third most. Lamar Jackson probably makes the fourth most. Daniel Jones has to, make the least out of those three. I mean, you could argue Lamar Jackson to be higher, but there are injury concerns, and apparently Lamar Jackson not having an agent is really hurting him in that contract negotiation with the Baltimore Ravens. We've got this. Who is the better QB? I mean, it's the battle of the mid, the ultimate battle of the mid. I guess I'll take Derek Carr. I guess, but we're really struggling there. NFL rumors Daniel Jones would take less than $45 million. That was reportedly published to stay in New York to also help re-sign Saquon Barkley. Well, no kidding, he'll take less than $45 million. He started at $45 million as a negotiation tactic. We all know this, guys. A fair market deal for Daniel Jones is like $37 million per year over the course of 4 years, in my opinion. Rams proposed new rule to make roughing the passer penalties reviewable during the NFL committee meetings on Sunday. So there's a few different variables at play when it comes to the roughing the passer. The number one things that fans seem to be ignorant on that they need to understand is that the NFL is going to do whatever means necessary to keep the quarterback healthy. Their product gets completely devalued without a healthy quarterback. Think about the Trace McSorleys that play. Think about all the backup QBs that play where it becomes unwatchable. The NFL knows its number one goal, if it wants to keep the ratings, is keep Patrick Mahomes, keep Jalen Hurts, keep Joe Burrow, keep Lamar. Look at the Baltimore Ravens offense without Lamar Jackson. You have to keep the quarterback healthy. So when you see these penalties, which are completely ridiculous, where a defensive lineman is just tackling a quarterback for a sack and it's somehow a penalty, understand that it's really not the ref's fault. They're saying if they touch the quarterback, just throw a flag, dude. We cannot afford the quarterbacks get injured. Our product becomes unwatchable with backup quarterback play. The NFL knows that. So I know everyone is outraged at the refs and things like that, but the NFL is telling them we need the quarterbacks healthy. We need to make sure the defense stops hitting the quarterbacks because it makes the league unwatchable if the quarterbacks get injured. We've got this. Peter King thinks the NFL should outlaw the way the Eagles have been doing the QB sneak. Philly star Darius Slay responded. And the NFL needs to outlaw it. Peter King shared his thoughts on the push play. And I absolutely agree with Peter King. I think it's a cheap-ass play. It's so stupid. I think the quarterback sneak in general is cheap, but what the Eagles do needs to be 100% outlawed. You can't have a running back, a receiver, and a fullback pushing the quarterback to get a yard. That's as cheap as it can get, and it's nothing against the Eagles. They're just taking advantage of the rules. Darius Slay responds, hater. People mad that Hurts doing it, but Brady been doing it for years, and nobody said nothing. So Darius Slay is completely ignorant. No, Tom Brady has not had people push his ass from behind for years. He does the quarterback sneak, but the running back is not pushing him. It's a completely different play. I think the quarterback sneak is cheap anyways, but I can at least understand that. When you use running backs and receivers, it's just ridiculous. So hopefully that gets outlawed. We've got Jalen Carter not participating in the workout portion of the combine, and apparently Will Anderson will. But yeah, guys, I'm about to go off on whoever this is. So this person responds, when you are the number one player in the class by a distance, you don't need to work out at the combine to prove you should go higher. there's nowhere to go but down. So he's talking about Jalen Carter. I mean, what are we doing? Jalen Carter had 3 sacks last year, folks. We need production before we crown these guys as the second coming of Jesus Christ. This is Trayvon Walker 2.0. I said Trayvon Walker was going to be a bust last year, and he shouldn't even go in the first round. People are coping. They're saying he had a good rookie year. He's a project. He's a bust, folks. Trayvon Walker is a bust. Jalen Carter will be a bust. Jalen Carter, in his 3-year career at Georgia, has 9 sacks. Oh, he's a defensive tackle. He's not going to... But, dude, you need to put up at least some statistics for me, man. I need some level of production. And you have these people saying, oh my God, he's a perfect prospect. He had 3 sacks, bro. What are you talking about? It's just, you really have to wonder with some of these people, like, oh my God. If you really think Jalen Carter is a better prospect than Will Anderson in his sophomore season at Alabama had 17 sacks. I will bet anyone right now $1,000 that Will Anderson will have a better NFL career than Jalen Carter. $1,000 right now. It is so obvious. Now, I understand the scheme comes into play, and if you run a 3-4 versus a 4-3, maybe you're more interested in Jalen Carter, who's a bigger defensive tackle, and he's also athletic. I get that. But, bro, in general, the idea that you're going to say he's the number 1 player in the class by a distance when he has 9 career sacks, I got to see some production, man. This is the one thing I'm so disconnected with these people when it comes to judging defensive players, because again and again and again, last year it was Trayvon Walker. This year it's Jalen Carter. And by the way, all those 5 Georgia defenders that went in the first round, go look up their rookie stats. Those kids all look like busts. So that'll be something interesting to follow too. But guys, that is going to do it for this update. We also, let me just do this one other thing. The most intriguing prospect in the 2023 draft, Tyree Wilson. Some believe he could eventually surpass Will Anderson. No one believes that. This is total clickbait. This person is just saying whatever. You know, you see some of these tweets and it's just mind-boggling. Tyree Wilson wasn't even talked about until the offseason. You know, I'm a college football expert. I didn't know who Tyree Wilson was, guys. So, this whole thing with some of these guys, the hype surrounding them, it's like they get more hype in the offseason. It's like they're offseason champions, but when college football was actually happening, they are irrelevant, and it's nothing against Tyree Wilson. I'm sure he's an athletic pass rusher, but this is another typical example of a quote-unquote athletic pass rusher who's going to be a total bust in the NFL because scouts fall in love with athleticism. So, guys, we'll see what happens there, but that's going to do it for this video. Make sure you follow me on Twitter. Link to that's always in the description. I'm, of course, the Depressed Ginger. Thank you for watching.